Welcome back to Small Changes, Big Shifts, 40 Days of Gratitude. I hope that you're having some fun because I'm having a ton of fun on this 40 days. And as I mentioned to you, if you're following along this series, if this is the first one you're listening to, you may not know this, but on January 2nd, 2021, I'm a big date nerd. I turned 20,000 days old. I know people celebrate birthdays, but really when you think about days, life goes really fast. And if you live to be 54 plus about 9 months, you'll be 20,000 days. So I read this book, 20,000 Days and Counting, about, actually listened to it about 10 years ago and just was thinking about that and made me start shifting the way I think about my days. And so during this COVID experience, we did this 31 Days of Kindness, and McGowan Gordon, along because of Brandi and Nancy, actually it happened. That's part of our story today. But people kept emailing me and saying, Michelle, can you keep it going for another 334 days? Could you do it basically all year? And I'm like, well, you know what? I want to do this gratitude series. And so I've asked different buckets of people in my life. You've seen some personal people. You've seen some people from my practice. You've seen people from my professional life, like Women Who Means Business. You've seen my minister. You've seen the person that helped me publish my first book. And now I want to introduce you to Brandi, Riggs, and Nancy Whitworth, who helped me take this whole speaking and corporate stuff to another level. But first of all, Brandi, I think I've shared this with you before, and Nancy, I'm not sure you've heard this. Because of you guys, we got connected with Lockton, and Lockton's the one who helped us underwrite the Kindness campaign. And I'm a little bit of a nerd. I follow the trail because I realize we're all connected at some level. And I wanted to especially have you on today to talk about gratitude, but also express my gratitude to you for encouraging others to follow the whole person health message as well, which led to the Kindness campaign. So thank you so much for that. I'm super grateful. But I want to start with a question. What does gratitude mean to you? I'm going to come to you first, Brandi, and then I'll come to you, Nancy.
Yeah, so for me, gratitude means thankfulness, it means appreciation, being humble, and I would also say it's a key ingredient in happiness.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you know this, in the dictionary, well-being means happiness. You probably do since you've heard me speak a couple of times. But so Brandi, I'm going to stay with you for just a second. Can you think of a time in your life, because you're such a generous, kind soul, can you think of a time in your life under the age of 25 of a story about gratitude that has set in the back of your mind as you move through life?
When I really think about what I'm most grateful for and kind of my gratitude journey, I really think about big picture, and I feel like what I'm most thankful for is that I'm surrounded by friends and family that have always provided me with unconditional love and really supported me in all the things that I do, some of them crazy. And I really feel like I alone can't take credit for really any of my accomplishments. I've had a lot of help and support along the way. And so I would say, that is the story of my life, is that I've just always been surrounded by wonderful people that are caring and supportive of me.
Well, that's awesome. You could see that, and it's interesting. Have you been watching? Have anybody else watched Netflix? I've watched a little bit of Netflix over the last 6 or 8 months, and
yeah.
the Hillbilly something that's out. Have you guys seen it yet?
I haven't. I saw an ad.
Yeah, well, anyhow, it's a true story, a little disturbing, but also you can see people that are lift other people up have been lifted up typically, or at some point there's been a course correction. And in my life, I've had several course corrections and people that have helped take the baton. It's almost like they take the baton to the next level of the journey. And in my level of the journey, for me, McGowan Gordon has played a big part in that, and taking some of the work I'm doing in my heart for the planet to the next level. So Nancy, I'm going to come to you now, and I'm going to ask you, what does gratitude mean to you?
I would say being thankful and showing appreciation and showing kindness. And I also think of it as just really appreciating the simple things in life.
Give me an example of a simple thing.
Lately, it's just been family and having that time to spend more time with family. And I think prior to COVID and the pandemic, I had gotten myself into a situation where I was so incredibly busy, which is good. And it was all good things that I was doing, but I didn't realize how much I was missing my family.
Yeah, it's interesting when you're a community leader, you have such full lives. And I know all of us have full lives between our friends and our family and our careers and then the community work we do. So it's almost like COVID's led us to kind of reset. Nancy, we actually got to meet through the Women Who Means Business. And a couple weeks ago, Joyce Hayhow and Stacy Prosser were on the show talking about Women Who Means Business and the good that group does. And it's not just women talking about business. We're figuring out how do we help our community and help our world live better. So speaking of our world live better, can you tell me a story about gratitude with McGowan and Gordon? You've been with McGowan and Gordon how long?
12 and a half years.
12 and a half years. So can you think of a time at construction? You typically don't have women in construction, a lot of women in construction. So give me a story if you don't mind for our audience.
It's something that I've always been grateful for at McGowan Gordon is that the senior leaders within the company truly appreciate people and diversity. And it truly is the center of everything that we do. And so when I came on board 12 and a half years ago, I was the first dedicated leader for HR. And when I interviewed, I was just so incredibly impressed that we, during the entire interview, did not talk about construction or buildings. The entire time we talked about people and the appreciation that they have for people, their understanding that it was their leadership, but it was really the people who built that company.
If I remember, is it employee owned?
Is 100% employee owned since 2015.
Wow. I think sometimes I was on a call recently with an emergency room doctor out of Texas. And I thought we were going to talk about humanity. And since we schedule our interviews sometimes so far in advance on my podcast, we actually were talking about COVID because he was an emergency room physician and talking about this community, this city of Roma in Texas coming together fighting COVID and some of the breakthroughs they're having. I'm still thinking about it, a week later, thinking about the stuff I learned and how do I implement that in my own journey. And what I love about McGowan Gordon is you're such a great community citizen. Can you talk about some of the work you're grateful for that you guys do in the community?
Absolutely. Most recently, we just finished the Children's Mercy Research Tower. And just thinking about all of the children that building will help is pretty gratifying. So there's the business that we do, the buildings that we build that help the community, but also just the way we give back. And that was another thing that attracted me to this company is even if it has nothing to do with our business or our customers, we dedicate a certain percentage of our profits to go back into the community and make sure that we're building up and helping those who are underserved.
It's such an amazing community. I'm glad you brought up one of our leaders, Children's Mercy. Brandi, I'm going to come to you. I'm giving you warning for this next question here, so I'll give you a second to think about it. The question for you is, how has living a life of gratitude enhanced your life and changed you? But I want to tell you a quick story about Children's Mercy. There's probably somebody you remember, Adele Hall, who was an example, an epitome of gratitude and a gracious heart. And I got the chance to go with her and 6 or 7 other women to Canyon Ranch one year and talk about special soul. And I think the Hall family maybe also contributed to that research tower, if I remember right. My memory serves me. So it comes full circle. And that's, I think, what I want our listeners to hear about this gratitude. I'm just kind of dripping ideas for you to think about in your own life, about the people who have helped you. Because, there's events that happen and there's stuff that happens, but really it's all about people. And that's what I hear you guys talking about at McGowan Gordon. It's about people. You do the job site, so it enhances people's lives, so it can enhance our community. So Brandi, coming to you, how has living a life of gratitude changed you?
Yeah, like I mentioned, I really being grateful and thankful for everything has just been a part of my life. I remember, every day as a kid, being around my grandparents, my parents, we talked about what we're thankful for all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I really feel like that has caused me to, have confidence and understand that, I have all of these things to be grateful for, which gave me the confidence to be able to go and accomplish the things that I wanted to accomplish and do the things that I want to do. But more than anything, it really has instilled my desire to help others feel the same thing that I feel, because I do think it's very tied to happiness. And I feel like I have had the opportunity to be very happy all my life. And I think that has a lot to do with all the things that I'm thankful for and recognizing them on a regular basis. And so I think that has helped me over my lifetime to help others and touch their lives and make them better and help them to have even more things to be thankful for.
It sounds like you're not taking the good things in your life for granted.
No, actually, every day I start and end my day, and it wasn't even something that I intentionally did, but every day I sit in my car before I leave and I think about all the wonderful things that I have to be thankful for, and before I even pull out of the driveway. And I think that just helps to set my day. I know that I have all these things that I may face adversity or tough things throughout the day, but I have all these things to be thankful for, and it really just helps to drive me and get me through anything that I might face. And then it's usually some of the last thoughts that I have at the end of the day.
Well, we talked in the kindness campaign how that helped. One reason we did that kindness campaign, once again, is one reason why I'm celebrating you guys. First of all, I love you both. It's so fun to get to hang out with you here. I feel like we're actually having a private conversation, but there's some people that are going to be listening in. And so thinking about how your act of kindness shared with Stacy over at Lockton, and they got a chance to hear small changes, build big shifts, building rhythm and resilience. And they said, okay, what can we do now? Because people are having a mental health crisis right now. And I said, well, the best way to get out of a crisis is to think of others. And gratitude is similar to kindness, but kind of different, but they kind of both create the same change in your chemistry of your brain, where you actually have the feel-good hormones that gets released. So that's so awesome. So I want to once again say thank you for that. I don't know if you know that we reached over 250,000 people because you had the courage to say, oh, you know what, Michelle, you should hire Michelle and her team. So I want to, once again, we are forever grateful. And those people and the ripples, we hear stories every day still where people are saying, oh, this happened. And my daughter, I heard earlier today, someone said, my aunt was sharing, I didn't even know my aunt knew you. And my aunt's in real estate. And anyhow, the stories go on and on. Nancy, I want to come to you because I'm going to go back to this Hillbilly movie because I really believe in God winks or coincidences. They're not coincidences. And so I'm happy to be watching this and I'm thinking about something that's really close to your heart that you spend a lot of time in with your husband, Doug, who's a lovely human. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because just to give you a little premise, it's around addiction. So I'll take that up for you. So talk about where you spend a lot of your give back time.
I'd love to talk about that. My husband, Doug Ballou, and I partnered with Anissa and Rob Elsey to start a foundation. It's called In the Name of Grace. And GRACE is an acronym for Giving Recovering Addicts a Chance to Evolve. And we raise money to open recovery homes. They're called Oxford Houses. And they're homes in nice neighborhoods that allow those who are bravely recovering from addiction to live a happy, healthy life and support each other in these homes as they are acclimating back into a productive, healthy life. And so far we've opened 20 houses. Our goal was 20 by 2020, and we did that in 4 years, 20 houses. And we just accomplished that goal. And so we're celebrating that and setting our next goal.
Great. Can you give us the website? Can you say it kind of slowly for us?
Yes. InTheNameOfGrace.org.
InTheNameOfGrace.org. I pulled on to, you were doing a virtual learning, and I got a chance to hear Laura Morowitz's story. Just powerful, just such a kind human. Here's the thing with gratitude and kindness. You just don't know what people are going through. You don't know whether they're going through it or they have a daughter going through something, and it could be addiction, it could be depression, it could be cutting, suicide ideation. So what's so fun about being grateful is I have to tell you, to be totally transparent, I tell myself I'm grateful that I have some ADD. Oh, that's okay. I kind of learned how to manage it after all those years. But I'm grateful that I'm not sad every day. I'm grateful that I can see, and I can see you without putting glasses on, even though in order to see my notes here, I might have to put them on. But it's interesting as you start to be grateful, how you have more to be grateful for. And so I love the work you're doing with In the Name of Grace. I love following it. I remember the vision when you guys were talking about it. And so I'm so proud of you for following through and making that happen. As we're going to start to wrap up, I'm going to ask you a question if you happen to have a favorite gratitude quote. But I'm curious, is there anything that's on your heart that I've not asked you that you would like to share? Nancy, I'll come to you first. Anything that you just feel like, Michelle, I really want to share this?
Actually, yes. I'll share this little story because it popped into my head when you first mentioned Brandi and I being on this show, and I was thinking back to my earliest memories of kindness and gratitude. And I remembered a day when I was very, very young, and I was riding in the car with my dad. And my parents are very, very kind, grateful people. And I don't know where we were going or what we were doing, but it was just the two of us. And we saw a man hitchhiking on the side of the road, and my dad stopped and picked him up. And I realize now that was risky, but at the time, it was just another adventure with my dad. And during that car ride, my dad talked to that man like he was a long lost friend or neighbor, and he asked him about his life and his dreams and his life and his family. And when we dropped him at the destination, I asked my dad why we picked him up. And he said, because we are fortunate to have a car and because he needed a ride. And that's one of my earliest memories of kindness and gratitude. And to my dad, it was that simple. It was, we are fortunate and we share it with others. And so that's kind of how I grew up. And I'm so grateful that my parents taught me that at a very young age. So I just wanted to share that story.
It is simple. It is simple. Thanks for sharing that. There's so many great stories. Brandi, do you have anything else that you feel compelled to share?
That's a great story, Nancy. I want to just share that, gratitude and kindness is so contagious. And so if you have it, share it. And like you were saying, Dr. Robin, we've had an opportunity to make a ripple throughout the heartland and hopefully even beyond. So I just say, share it. It's contagious.
Yeah. And as you think about gratitude and you're sitting through this time of uncertainty, and I loved what one of my speakers said, really, the next moment's uncertain. If you really think about what could happen between now and the next moment, but how could we be so present in this moment and think about what we have to be grateful for? The friends like this, women that support you, that cheer you on, men that cheer you on and help sponsor you and help you grow and have the courage to have hard conversations with you at the same time. They encourage you to lift you up. And so I'm lifting you two up today, and thank you for helping spread the message of whole person health and get it into the soil of Kansas City, into the bones of buildings and people's hearts, so that they can realize that they matter. So thank you for that. Okay, my last question is to say, do you have a favorite quote? Who wants to go first? Anybody? Favorite quote? It doesn't have to be gratitude, but it could be around gratitude too.
Well, I think my favorite gratitude quote has to do with what I had talked about a little bit earlier, and it's that no one who achieves success does so without the help of others, and the wise and confident acknowledge this help with gratitude. And so I think that is very true, and especially true for me.
Well, it sounds like what I'm doing with these 40 days. It's a good distraction too. It keeps me from sucking my thumb and thinking about not being able to see my friends. Nancy, how about you?
Yes, I do have a favorite gratitude quote, and it's by Mary Oliver. And she said, "It is a serious thing just to be alive on this fresh morning in this broken world." And I love the way that represents, we do have a broken world, but we can't get mired in that. We have to think of each day as a fresh day and be grateful that we're alive.
Well, I picked a quote for you two today in honoring our relationship. And it says, I'm going to have to read it, okay? I'm going to do this a little bit. Let us be grateful to people who make us happy. They are charming. They are the charming gardeners who make our souls blossom. That's by Marcel Proust. And thank you for helping blossom the vision that we have of really having a world where people love themselves and they raise kids. Like you guys obviously had great parents who were able to pour into you, but there's so many kids that are in broken experiences right now, and that we see a vision where people come together to help heal our world one starfish at a time. So thanks for joining me. Much love to both of you. Happy holidays.
Thank you. And thank you for all you do to spread well-being throughout our community. We appreciate you.
You're causing more than a ripple.
Yes.
Yay. All right. I'll chat with you all tomorrow.